This is Butterflies of Wisdom with your host, Wynn Charles. This podcast is designed to bridge the gap between the able-bodied and the disabled. We all have stepping stones on our path to success, and we hope you enjoy this path of learning about life from all perspectives.
Welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. And this morning I have Ben with me. Ben is an entrepreneur at heart. Ben is a creative film guy. He's been featured on CNN. He also hosts a film podcast. So without further ado, I'm going, Mr. Ben, take it away.
Hello. I am a entrepreneur, author, and as well as executive producer. I have work that's available on Stars on Demand, and I also have a new startup that should be making some pretty big announcements in the next few weeks. Yeah. So
well, congratulations on that.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
And please explain to my audience more of what you do and why you got into the field.
Okay. So I mainly help producers and filmmakers understand the business of the film industry more, and I also help connect them to resources in the business side of the film industry, including distribution, and I'm starting to do a bit of investment with that too. So basically I help enable filmmakers to actually make film by helping them get money and revenue for the film. So
basically you're helping entrepreneurs who are in the film industry understand the film industry more.
Yes, both helping understand and acting as a guide, as well as actually making connections to some fairly high-level players when appropriate.
Sort of like a movie liaison.
In a way, yes.
In a way, yes. And so, okay, I have a very good girlfriend who is now in the independent film industry, and I'm actually going back to school in September for fashion journalism. But I'm wondering, what would you say to the new filmmaker who's just graduating and in their last classes? And I'm wondering what you would say to them on how to get connections or just start, because I'm realizing that the independent film industry and the film industry in general is difficult. Difficult is the understatement, unless you're like Denzel Washington and can get that big role. You're not going to make it.
So the biggest piece of advice I could give that anyone could take advantage of is to focus on building a social media presence. So
I knew you were going to say
that. Well, it is true. It's increasingly important. I spend about 2 hours a day on social media, managing my own brand and the brand of a couple of my companies. And the industry is shifting ever more towards the independent filmmaker needing to really market their own work. And actually, their first film, or possibly first couple of films, they're going to need to market and distribute themselves. And in order to do that, they have to have an audience. And the most cost-effective way to build an audience is to maintain a strong social media presence at this time. You will also have to go through festivals for shorts and things like that to build an audience outside of your own network. But properly utilizing social media while you go to festivals is also something that you should be doing. So.
And I also have a question for you. The Cannes Festival in Cannes is not for independent filmmaking, or maybe it is.
It can be. The festival side is very difficult to get into. The shorts program is actually relatively easy to get into, at least easier than you think it is. I've had several contacts who have gotten into the shorts program at Cannes, although I don't know whether or not they were in competition. So it's worth submitting to Cannes for the shorts program. I don't know if it's all that worth submitting to Sundance, but because the odds of getting in are so low.
I was just going to say that Sundance is tougher than Cannes. Sundance is tougher than Cannes. I mean, I actually had the luxury of carrying the Olympic torch at the 2002 Olympics. Well, after that, we went to Salt Lake City. I had the luxury of going to Salt Lake City, and one of the things we did was went to Robert Redford's, where they host the Sundance Film Festival, and at the time, the Sundance Film Festival was actually going on. And what I was thinking back then was, man, it's going to be amazing to get in here as a filmmaker. Way back when I wanted to go into film because I wanted to show cerebral palsy off. That way, you guys didn't know that. But I decided to go into fashion journalism. I figured that fashion journalism may be a little bit easier than holding a camera. But after that thought dawned on me, when I was deciding my second career path, I'm like, well, if Cannes is going to get better to get into than Sundance, I might as well bet my odds against fashion journalism. Now, for those who are aspiring to go to Cannes and go to Sundance, what would you say, Ben?
So the first thing I'd say is the biggest thing you have to understand about Cannes is that it's not just a festival, it's also a market. And there's a pretty big difference between a market and a festival. And one of the big reasons that Cannes is as big a deal as it is that it has the world's largest film market attached to it. And festivals are where film is celebrated and publicized, and markets are where business is done. I actually wrote the first and so far only book on film markets, and it's very important that filmmakers understand the difference between the two. Now, it's much, much, much easier to get a film represented at the market if you know what you're doing. I had 5 films at the Cannes Film Market in, I want to say, in 2016 and 3 in 2017. So that is, and those were clients that I placed with distributors, and they took it to Cannes, or excuse me, with sales agents, and they took it to Cannes. And that is where, so if you go through a producer's rep who's competent, and generally if they're just brokering, they shouldn't charge up front, but if they're doing other services, they might, then you can possibly get your film into the Cannes Film Market, but the film festival is much more difficult on the feature end, and it's not really and it may not be worth the expenditure you'd have to do to get in to there. But if you do go, if you do get in, it may behoove you to go, even if you're just on the market for just a couple days, if you can afford the flight to France and the badge to con. The con badge isn't that bad. The expensive part's the flight and hotel. But if you go there, it's really good to understand the market. If you don't want to spend that much, you can get a good understanding of what goes on at all film markets by attending the American film market, which is much more cost effective. A badge for the last couple days, for the last 3 to 4 days, is somewhere around $400 or $500, and it's in LA. And if you're smart, you can get affordable accommodation. So that's the.
So the Sundance Film Festival doesn't have a market attached to it. I thought it did not.
The Sundance does not. However, there is a lot of business that goes on at Sundance. Generally, and there's kind of a mini market. Not really. There's definitely a mini market attached to TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. But Sundance is more just Sundance is more buyers seeking product at Sundance, whereas the markets are generally sellers seeking buyers. And
so if someone had to pick one of the film festivals, whether it be Toronto, whether it be Cannes, whether it be Sundance, or whether it be just a film market in LA, which one would you recommend for the return on investment?
Depends on what your goals are and what the assets your film has are. Now, generally what I recommend is that once you've completed your film, and don't rush completing your film. Your film needs to be very good. The competition level is very high. So don't rush completing it. Then the next level once you do that, submit to the next major film festival that's coming up. So if you complete your film in time for the Sundance deadline, sure, submit to Sundance. And maybe wait to hear back from Sundance until you accept other submissions. But you should also be submitting to smaller film festivals, because I think I have the infographic up, but the number of films that get into Sundance are only, at most 5%, probably more like 1%. But
I did not know that statistic.
Yeah, I have the number of films submitted up here. It's about 12,000 films submitted every year, or there was in 2016 at least. And that's all features and shorts. Most of them are shorts, but there's only a few hundred screened. So it's important to know that you don't have a lot of chance to get in. And so the next part of that is using film festivals not just as a way to show your film, but also as a way to market your film and build hype for your film. Because if you do it just as a pure celebration, you won't get a lot out of it. But if you properly direct people to your social media, if you have sales channels up, if you plan ahead enough, you might even be able to get DVDs in nearby stores, just distributing it yourself. And there are certain wholesalers you can get in touch with that you might be able to get DVDs to local independent bookstores and places like that as a limited run. And there are you have to view this as a marketing opportunity, not just a showing up opportunity, not just a
not just saying I got my film into Sundance, yippee skippy. Now, what's next? You've got to view freelance journalism and freelance film creation as a business. And God knows, I might come out to the Sundance Film Festival and review films. God knows I'm a film buff. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I'm a good film buff. So you've got to think about who's going to be watching your film too, and who it's geared for, whether it's geared for the kids, whether it's geared towards the adult or teen or scary or non-scary. I mean, you've got to think of all this creative entrepreneurship as a business. It's not like yippee skippy, I got my film into Sundance on Con or the Toronto Film Festival and now I'm going to watch the screening. You have got to build up the hype around your film and get it on iTunes, possibly. Now, Ben, that is my next question. Can independent film producers submit to iTunes just like independent podcasters can, or do they have to have an agent submitted for them, or how does that work? Because I have a friend that actually did a documentary about podcasting, and they said it's going to be in iTunes, and it's called The Messenger Documentary, if you guys want to see it. I am unfortunately not in it, but some of the big wigs in the podcasting sphere who I've interviewed or in this film. So when they said it's going to be in iTunes, I thought, well, did you guys submit it yourselves, or did you guys get it brokered, or how does that work?
There are some very technical, iTunes will just index your RSS feed for a podcast, and which means that basically anybody can put a podcast on iTunes. But in order to put a film up there, you generally have to go through what's called an aggregator. The most well-known of these aggregators is a company called Distribber, and they will take an upfront fee that's rather large, depending on how you view it. Just getting on iTunes costs more than $1,000. And last I checked. And they'll also be able to put you on a lot of other platforms. And then Distribber is the way their model works is you pay the upfront cost, and then you get all of the revenue from that. But there are other aggregators that will do it for limited to no upfront cost, and they will get it up on these platforms, but then they'll take something like a 20% cut. Sometimes as much as a 40% cut. And 40% is still fine. It's not that bad. I've seen people have offered me 75%. Like, they take 75%, and the filmmakers take 25%. And that's just silly. But,
that eats the whole camera budget right there.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm not talking about small, inexpensive cameras. We're talking about good video cameras that sometimes cost over $1,000. So distributing the film eats the camera budget if you're giving a fee to the distributor to just put it on iTunes.
Yeah, you can't put it on iTunes yourself as a filmmaker.
So you can't. put it
You
on
cannot.
iTunes. You have to go through a broker fee. That's
Yes.
a broker. That's what I was curious about, because I also have a friend who I mentioned earlier that got her film on iTunes, and I was wondering how she did that, because so you can't put a film on iTunes even if you tried. So, that being said, how do you feel about artists getting paid off of iTunes? Because I know there was a huge controversy 2 years ago, I believe, saying that artists weren't getting paid for their songs. And now I know from a perspective of a consumer that songs cost 99 cents, apps cost $2.99, but also the download quality of iTunes is not that great. So how do you feel about artists not getting their fair share of royalties?
I think that in my personal experience, iTunes pays what they contract to pay, and they report very well. But in terms of but they're not the most profitable place to put your movie. The most profitable place to put your movies is Amazon. And you can do it yourself.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So you can do it yourself on Amazon if you have Amazon distributor's account.
Yeah. And you can just upload to Amazon. You can make it available on Amazon Prime. And then you can drive your basically everyone has Amazon Prime or has access to an Amazon Prime account.
Yeah.
It's just ubiquitous at this point. So so you can drive traffic to watch it on Amazon Prime, and the way Amazon's model works is you get paid a relatively small amount. I can never remember whether it's 7 cents for every 10 minutes or 10 cents for every 7 minutes of content that is watched. And but given that there are millions upon millions of people on Amazon, that money adds up quicker than you'd think it would. So Amazon, putting your film on Amazon is actually, and then driving people to watch it on Amazon means that every person who watches it, you get, anywhere between a few cents and $1 every time somebody watches it. And if you sell your film for $2.90, and they don't have to pay anything to watch it there. Whereas if somebody downloads it on iTunes, once you pay the iTunes fees, you only get $1 every time somebody pays $2.99 to download it. So,
yeah.
I think Amazon's model is just better, and it pays filmmakers better. Since we were talking about Sundance as well, Amazon has a new offer that's going out to every major film festival, and I mean major, like Sundance, Cannes Festival, not Cannes Market, TIFF. I think South by Southwest is also getting this, but Amazon will give you a very large upfront signing bonus, as well as enhanced royalties if your film is an official selection, period. And it's set based on what sort of film it is. It's one price for documentaries. It's a different price for dramatic features. And it's a different price for foreign and domestic too. But it's a flat floor price, which Amazon is paying more for content than a lot of other people did before. I can't say what the numbers are because honestly they're not my numbers or my client numbers, so I really shouldn't know them. But it's shocking how low a lot of deals at Sundance were. Like for a feature that cost a few $100,000, they were getting licenses of less than $50,000 for world rights and exclusive for several years. And
wow,
that's getting into Sundance, which only about, I mean, let's call it 5%. I think that's high.
Yeah.
It's really more like 2 to 3% can get in. And those are the deals they're getting. So it's a tough business. That's why I say you've really got to learn how to hustle, and you've got to learn how to control costs as well as maximize revenue. It's possible to do, but it's hard. And you have to, as a filmmaker, you have to accept that you are going to need to be a marketer as well. That's the way the market's heading, and if you want to do it, you're going to have to learn to market your work.
So Ben, what is your favorite entrepreneurial moment in all this? And I presume you have a degree in film making, don't you?
Actually, I dropped out.
Oh,
I never got
really?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm kind of an outlier in this, but I realized I had learned as much as I needed to, and the amount I was paying for tuition no longer made sense. So I left. I worked in financial services for a little bit. I moved out here to San Francisco. That was while I was in Colorado. I moved out here to San Francisco for a bit. I attended school for a little bit out here and to try to finish the degree, and it just wasn't worth it. So I didn't. And I went to and I've just really hustled my behind off and worked very, very hard for several years to continue or to build a career and build a business on this. And the other thing is, a lot of the stuff I do are things that film school doesn't teach.
Yeah.
It's now, having said that, I actually do not want to encourage people to drop out of film school or school.
No. No.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of data, that will, is this live? I don't think this is live.
No.
Okay.
This
then
is
if
not
this is
live at all.
Okay. If this is dropping after Thursday, I'm actually releasing section 3 of a report I did with, Stage 32, IndieWire, and Fandor, as well as Media Research Associates, that has some very, interesting data on film schools and how graduating affects your chances of success in the film industry. And graduating from film school is actually really important. You're much more likely to make your primary income as a filmmaker if you graduate from film school than if you drop out or attend a different school, and a lot of other really important statistics are in this report that I don't know when this publishes, but will be out Thursday, I believe, 4th. No, 3rd.
Well, Ben,
yeah.
Ben, this podcast actually drops on Thursday the 4th. So if you want to send me the report as well, stick it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll send a link to that as soon as it's live.
Yeah. So I'll stick it in the show notes so that people can see that. And believe it or not, I am actually from Colorado. So I didn't know Colorado had a film school out here. I thought they were all on the West Coast, East Coast. But where did you start attending school?
The Colorado Film School. It's based out of the Community College of Aurora, and I think Regis University right now. When I was doing it, it was the University of Colorado, Denver. But
really?
it's actually, yeah, it's continually rated as one of the top regional film schools. It's
I am amazed by that.
Yeah,
and the
tuition there is also very affordable if you're local, if you're from Colorado. If you're not, it's not great. But so yeah, I mean, I would definitely shout out to all those CFS alums out there. But so I would say, yeah, so definitely finish film school if you go. And also if you're in Colorado, I would recommend the film school. And if you want to build your career after film school, focusing on building your presence on social media as of this recording, Instagram and Snapchat are probably the best places to spend your time if you're still in college. I don't really understand Snapchat yet. I just got into Instagram. But but those are where you're getting the most traction right now. So
keep building your portfolio on social media, because I can tell you that most creative schools, mine included, mine is going to be the Academy of Arts in San Francisco, have a film school, and they have a phenomenal film school at that. And
yeah, that's actually where I went to finish my degree.
Well, yeah, how funny. But most employers look at your social media, well, whether you're being a solo entrepreneur or getting a degree to get into a job, a day job. And so most employers ask you for your LinkedIn, and most employers ask you for your Twitter, and most employers ask you for your Facebook, because they want to see what you're doing on social media and how it will impact their company.
Mhm. No, I mean, you've got to keep an eye on what you're. Go ahead.
That's why Ben is saying build up your social media profile with good things, not bad things.
It's not just that. It's also that if you're not, it's not just about if you're looking to get hired. It's also about if you're looking to promote your own work. The first place to post stuff is social media. Like, I get a lot of traction from LinkedIn. I post a couple times a week now. There have been times I posted as much as once a day. And, I would get a few hundred clicks to my stuff from LinkedIn every day. And that helps a lot. I get a little bit of money anytime somebody views a page on my website. I get a lot more money if somebody clicks an ad on my website. Sometimes I make more money from somebody clicking an ad on my website than I do from selling one of my ebooks. Which is, I understand the economics of it, but it's still weird to me. And the,
yes, I agree.
But but then I also sell a fair amount of books through my website as well as workshops and stuff like that. So having a large social media following on a platform that suits what you do, Instagram's pretty good for filmmakers because it's so visual. So is Snapchat. I just really don't understand Snapchat yet. But if you can develop a following there, then you have places you can send people to actually follow. You have an audience that you can engage with who will buy your stuff when it comes out. There are people who, I only recently found out, but there are people who read all of my articles and buy all of my books anytime I publish a new one. And it's just and that's what you need to do as a creative person or a creative entrepreneur. You need to have those fan bases who will buy your content, because if you're not moving product, you're not making money. A former business partner of mine actually had a really good quote, which was, there's no money in filmmaking. There's only money in selling films. And whether you have someone else do it or whether you have or whether you do it yourself, the only way to make money is to sell. You have to transact.
That's amazing. That's amazing you say that, because I have a book coming out, well, tomorrow. I have my latest book coming out tomorrow. And granted, I have 8 books on my name, but this has been the best launch of my book that I have seen, because I have built up the social media presence. And so social media is here to stay, you guys. I don't care whether you like Facebook or not, but Twitter's not my jam, but I don't care. Facebook and Twitter are here to stay. I don't care what you guys say. You can squawk and bark at me all you want and say, how come you spend so much time on Twitter and Facebook and all that other good stuff? Facebook is here to stay. Twitter's here to stay, and I'm building up my portfolio as a freelance journalist. Thank you very much. On social media, and Ben is here to prove it. Ben said social media is number one.
So yeah, I would say I'm not sure if Twitter's here to stay. The company has yet to turn a profit, so I don't know if it's going to. I don't know how long they're going to be able to operate unless they change their business model, and I don't know if they're going to be able to successfully change their business model to monetize. So I like Twitter. I spend a lot of time on Twitter. But if
Twitter goes away, I'll just go to LinkedIn then.
For what you do, that's probably good. I think Snapchat will usurp Twitter. I think that's the way things are headed.
Snapchat also, Twitter also owns Snapchat, so that
really?
Yeah, I think they do. I
thought Snapchat was an independent company that just IPO'd.
Yeah, absolutely right. It did just IPO. It did just open up to the public. So Twitter, what am I saying that Twitter owns Snapchat? Ben, you stand corrected.
But yeah, so that is so no, that's basically it. I think staying apprised of what's going on social media is going to be very useful for you. Tumblr, I don't tumble, but I know a lot of people who tumble, and Tumblr can be a very good platform to be on if you understand Tumblr can be a very good platform if you understand the language of Tumblr. And that's kind of the important thing about any platform, is understanding the language of it. You can't just randomly post stuff that doesn't fit on the platform. You have to be a part of the community that is on the platform, and you have to speak in the language that's represented there. And that is some of the most important things about building a social media presence. And also, you can't just show up one day and start shilling your stuff and expect to get a following. You have to develop a following first and then start shilling your stuff. Or if you already have stuff, you have to. I generally post at most one sales post or right hook, in the words of Gary Vaynerchuk, for every 5 non-sales posts I post, like informational posts, pieces from my blog, other stuff, and then every once in a while, at most twice a day, I'll throw out a video right hook or a sales right hook or a book right hook or anything like that actually sell stuff and make me money, because if I don't do that, everybody would just view me as a bot and not useful. So it's not good to do it that way.
Well, that's your take on it, because So, so many people are viewing people with bots now that it's not even funny. And,
I use bots on Twitter.
Yeah, I hate DMs. Automatic DMs drive me nuts, you guys. Drive me absolutely nuts. And this two-tweet automatic DM drives me nuts. Yeah. They're terrible.
Yeah.
So don't do it to Ben, don't do it to me, because that drives us nuts. But Ben, where can people find you, and where can people get a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is through my website. I can give you a URL. I believe it's www.thegorillaRep.com, and there is a contact tab if you want to submit a film for me to place with sales agents or anything like that, or at least try to, or at least review in order to. You can do it through GorillaRep.com, through thegorillaRep.com/submit. If you want to contact me about something else, there's a contact page, which is thegorillaRep.com/contact, or if you just go there, there's headings. And if you want to find me on social media, as I said, I'm pretty active on Twitter, and that's @thegorillaRep. And I'm also getting more active on Instagram, and that's a little bit more of my kind of not entirely work persona on Instagram. So you can go there on @thegorillaRep.
And we will have all of Ben's information in the show notes. You guys just click on the cover artwork, and then we will have all of Ben's information. And as I quickly mentioned during this interview, my book is actually being uploaded this afternoon being Wednesday. It will be out and published by Thursday, so you guys will see the link and splash all over my social media. And before I let Ben go, though, I want him to ask me a couple questions about anything.
Okay. Why did you decide to start a podcast?
Why did I decide to start a podcast? Well, I wrote a book when I was 23, and I almost got that book released, believe it or not, into an independent film. But I decided I got cold feet on that independent film. So I decided to start a podcast, and maybe this next book will be released into an independent film. I don't know the moment I say that. A friend of mine will reach out to me and say, I'm ready to work with you, or someone will, but independent film work is something I want to do then. But the reason why I started the podcast is all because of my original work. This podcast came out of the original book. I mean, people were starting to ask me, how do you do what you do while managing a disability at that? And so I thought, oh boy, they opened up a can of worms that I now either need to shut or start a podcast. So I started interviewing people and infusing my story with theirs.
Sounds great. Is it difficult to manage running a podcast and writing with your disability?
No, thank you very much, because the reason why I say that, Siri has saved my writing. Siri is speech dictation, and I'll probably do a whole podcast on Siri and speech dictation, but it's difficult to do a podcast, not necessarily record the podcast, not necessarily upload the podcast, uploading, recording, editing, I send to someone else. I don't do my own editing, I probably should, but editing I send to someone else, so that's the easy part. But those dang show notes always get me. Those show notes always get me and my disability. I don't know what it is. But I do it because you guys seem to like it. So if someone could teach me how to do a workflow for my show notes better, that would be a saving grace. But right now no one has come forward to teach me that workflow. But those show notes always get me.
Well, cool. I will make the links for this episode for me very easy to just copy and paste, so you don't have to worry about that too much.
Oh yeah. We will have all Ben's information in the show notes. Plus, I may, depending on when he sends me the link. So I will put Ben's information in the show notes, and I will put the report of graduation from film school in the show notes. And I would love to thank Ben for his knowledge about the inside the film industry. I think we should call this inside the film of Butterflies of Wisdom, because I love the knowledge bombs that Ben shared. And please, 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 please share this episode out to the student who's going to film school, you guys, to grow not only our community, but the film school community. And as I said, I thank Ben for coming on bright and early this morning and sharing his knowledge. And let's go make it a great day, you guys. This podcast has been sponsored by Grace by Grit. Grace by Grit is a clothing line out of California, and they also offering you 20% off when you type in the code Exo Butterflies. And so I'm really happy that Ben shares his knowledge. Ben, what would be a closing statement?
Develop your brand and live with integrity.
Develop your brand and live with integrity. I love it. And I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode, and I will catch you guys later. Thanks to you guys.